I don't know. I guess the thing that differentiates my music from a lot of other people is that I try to slow it down a little bit. I try to focus on the. Focus on the lower end. I'm more interested by like a lot of dub songs, a lot of old school like hip hop music, like from the West Coast. It's like that. I would focus on a lower end. Dubstep, a lot of stuff like that. I guess I'm more focused on than like kind of speeding it up. Although I do speed it up sometimes, but I kind of keep it within that realm of kind of slowness and kind of melancholy when I try to write melodies. Because I'm not really good at doing like happy shit. So I try to go as kind of heartbroken as possibly as I can when I write, lyrics and stuff like that.
What about the name?
The name? Okay, so the name, it's just silly. Like, I mean, I've been going by this name on the internet for like 10 years now. Over 10 years now. It's just a character from a video game. There's a video game called The Bouncer. It was from like 2000, 2001. And what happened is that I used to play Unreal Tournament 2000 Unreal Tournament Game of the Year edition with a bunch of kids in my that were a year older than me in my high school when I was in middle school. I would go up to the high school and play with them, and so they wanted me to pick a name or whatever. So I had a booklet for the bouncer with me, and I just figured, okay, recurring is kind of a cool name. So I started using that, and it basically stuck. So this is basically the name I'm stuck with forever until I'm dead.
How did you get started? I know you use Nano
The way that I got started, actually, I was using FL Studio in the very beginning. Just a few years ago, I discovered 8-bit peoples and stuff and things like that. I listened to it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of neat, and then I kind of fell off of it for a really long time. But then a little bit later, I started taking like kind of electronic music seriously, and the only sounds that I really felt like I could make something out of were these 8-bit sounds. The YMCK Magical 8-bit plugin really like made me realize. It really helped me kind of understand the realms of this kind of noise. And I wrote a lot of music like that for a really long time before I started playing with Nano and stuff like that. After I had enough money, I got a summer job. I worked up a whole bunch of money and I bought Nano. And from pretty much like the time when I started using Nano, it was like a little bit first sight. I just started using it, and that's basically the only thing I use now.
You definitely have the distinction of being a chip musician that got thrown out of a hotel like a rock star. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good. It was kind of funny. It was an incredibly like ill-advised event. Basically, we were at NAGFest, and there was a room that we had that you could use for any kind of music you wanted to play 24 hours. But then basically Sean Faze, who's here somewhere, or he might have left already, his band already filled up the jam space because they weren't actually playing the official concert. So me and Chippercrate basically said, "Hey, well, fuck it, we can play our music in the hotel room." So I started playing music through this giant speaker that we had. And we were playing we spent the whole night beforehand playing like old 90s gangster rap music as loud as possible. And then we basically had the idea of okay, well, I could set my mixer on the ironing board, and then I can plug my mixer into the big the giant speaker system, and then while I was playing, which was already incredibly loud, Chippercrate, Paul, he plugged his giant bass amp into the thing, and it just sounded like this incredibly loud, crazy noise.
It was very dirty sounding.
I don't really remember much after the first time the security hotel showed up, because I turned my music off after that, and that's what I remember. And they and I remember Josh was in Albatross getting really angry and fuck that, we're not gonna be here next year. It doesn't matter. just play the music or whatever. And that's pretty much all I remember. And basically what I've been told is that like the music got so loud that we almost got kicked out of the hotel by cops. Which is kind of awesome because all the dudes in like the crazy metal bands that play every year, they don't get in any trouble. They play in these crazy metal bands and then we're the guys that chimneys and we're too fucking rock star for that hotel. So I feel like that's kind of awesome.
Well said.